Here we go with another vlog, another long form vlog, and it's going to be a little bit different. But before we get to the topic, kind of a segue, I do want to thank everyone who came out to the Toy Palooza toy show that I was involved with this weekend. I want to thank D&E Collectibles and everyone at the Toy Palooza show for a fantastic show. Everyone, it seems like, had a great time. I want to thank everyone who came to my table, whether you bought anything or not, just to say hi. Thanks. I know Mike G out there, thanks for coming by as always. You know, we've been friends for over 20 years, and just every time you say great things about the vlog, it really makes me feel good, just as anybody does out there. So I appreciate that. I hope to be involved with the next one. I haven't made my decision yet. We'll see. It's in May, so we'll get to that when we get to that. I have another thing planned, a live appearance, as it were. Who's really going to come out to see me? Come on, but like a sale that I have in mind. So, as soon as those plans get finalized, we'll talk about it. It was just such a fun show. I've been in so many shows in that building, the Monroeville Convention Center in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, over the years. And I mean, just the crowd, I said it on, I think, my Facebook page. I posted a couple of videos and brief videos, and they're still on there if you want to watch them. I said, this isn't just a toy show, it's a toy event. It was mind-boggling. I've been to so many toy shows over the years, and just the attendance, and just everybody was happy, and just escaping this world, and just going into this world of toys and collecting and just things that make you smile. It was so much fun. Me and my friend who was with me, we were like, is this day over already? I mean, it's like, is it 4 o'clock? It was like, we didn't even have time to look at our time, our phones, our watches. It just flew by. I didn't even get a chance to take the whole show in, because we would alternate going out and, scouting the show. And, it was just like, I want to get back because I'm just having so much fun talking to people. One of the things that I was having fun talking about, of course, all the wrestling stuff, that, but also I continued something that I started in 2018, and that is selling off my childhood G.I. Joe collection. We're going to talk a little bit about that, actually a lot. But we're doing a wrestling tie-in, of course. G.I. Joe was my favorite line to play with as a child. Wrestling came a little bit later. I mean, I had some LJN stuff, but it really wasn't a main thing. I think it was like G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Masters of the Universe. I had Ghostbusters. But really, I think G.I. Joe was the number one. I mean, it was just, I was so involved in it. And, if you're a fan from back then, you know that the cartoon, which you see behind me, and the comic book were completely different worlds, completely different universes, completely different tone, and I loved them both. I loved elements of both. I loved everything from both, let's face it. It was the one toy line, besides wrestling, that when I started selling toy lines as I got older on eBay, I said, I'm never going to sell G.I. Joe. 2018 rolled around, just some things on my life going on. I said, you know what, I'm going to make some money. I had some really heavy-hitting G.I. Joe figures from the original line as far as value and demand, and I did really well on them. Then I kind of stopped because I did have so many. When I was deciding to do the Toy Palooza show, I said, you know what, I'm gonna price some and bring them, and we'll see what happens. Well, I sold a nice amount of them. I still have a lot left, and there was one that I priced. That when I priced it, I said, I think if this doesn't sell at this show, I'm going to keep it. It's part of my collection. And I wanted a reason why. The reason why is the other 4 G.I. Joes that I kept from the line that I decided I was never going to sell, 3 from my childhood, 1 not, were WWE Hall of Famers. And this guy followed suit. So I decided he didn't sell at the show. A lot of interest, a lot of people looked at him. But he didn't sell, so I am keeping him. And he would be, no, not Sergeant Slaughter. That was your first guess. We'll get to the Sarge. But the second in the line of 3 WWE Hall of Famers to make it into the G.I. Joe line is, yeah, it's hard to believe he's a WWE Hall of Famer, but he is. None other than the Fridge, William Refrigerator Perry. And when I was getting into the line, he was the latest mail away. Oh, I did have the mail away Sergeant Slaughter too, and I mailed away for that, so I don't know if that promotion overlapped with the fridges. I really don't remember, but the fridge was just like such a big deal. It was like you collected the points, sent in some money, I don't know, probably a couple bucks for shipping, and you got the fridge. And he came with his baseball, football on a chain, and it's on a chain. It looks like it's on a stick, but it's supposed to be on a chain, and he was supposed to whip it around. And of course, the famous file card. And there he is, looking just like he did in the WrestleMania 2 Battle Royal, which he made it into the Hall of Fame for. And yeah, on the back, little Josh somehow must have found an old Sesame Street sticker of Oscar the Grouch, and I put it on. But yeah, this is the fridge, and he's a desirable figure now. It's the only one they ever came out with. And there he is, and you can see the physique is like perfect for a little 3 3/4 inch figure. It's like the fridge. I mean, look at that. Yeah. So there he is, and this is the one again that I was going to sell over the weekend. But as I was thinking about it, I'm like, WWE Hall of Famer, third one to make it, second one of 3 to make it into the G.I. Joe A Real American Hero line. What about the other ones? Well, I already mentioned the first one, and we all know who that is. It's the Sarge himself, Sergeant Slaughter. And interestingly, in a topic that I've covered on the blog many times, and I think I'll do a vlog about it eventually, whether it has its own or becomes part of another one. It was actually 37 years ago this month, which we're in September of 2025 right now, that I met my first wrestler, and that was Sergeant Slaughter. And interestingly enough, it was just probably a mile down the road from where the Toy Palooza show was this weekend in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. There he is. This was the original right here, and of course he's got his little swagger stick there. And then the second release is actually one that as a kid I never had, and it came with the his Triple T, the Tag Team Terminator vehicle, which you would think would have been a natural for me, but I just never had it. I had a lot of the vehicles, but I didn't have them all because money, of course. I mean, I'm a kid, and room, space. I was conscious of that. So I didn't have them all, and I had Sergeant Slaughter, so what did I really need that one for? That was always my least favorite, and I guess that's why I never got it. This one is just so cool. This was the mail away, and he has the G.I. Joe logo on the side, and mine looks still to be in pretty good shape. The G is a little rubbed off, but who's counting there? And there he is, of course, in the traditional look. And you also got the famous file card, and there it is with the original Sergeant Slaughter look. And I think the second one I ever had was this one. It could have been either of these, but this was the one that came with, and I couldn't remember the name of the vehicle, but it does say on the file card, the Warthog, and I got it as a gift, I think in 1988. Got it as a present from someone, somewhere along the line. And if the hat looks a little funky, it's actually kind of cool because it's removable. It's the only G.I. Joe release in the original line that I know of Sergeant Slaughter where the hat came off. And like I said, it looks a little weird. It looks kind of like a derby or something in green, like the Brown Derby restaurant, the way it was shaped. But it's, yeah, I'm old, people. But yeah, so that's the second one that I had anyway, I think. And then around the same time, they did a subset called Slaughter's Marauders. And Sergeant Slaughter was released in like a green and blue motif with the green sunglasses. And he, of course, also had the clip and save file card. I was big on that, you can see that. And I was pretty proud of that at the show because the ones that I had, most of them, if they were my originals, I didn't get them in a trade or a flea market or something, I had the file cards. So that adds to it. It adds to the completeness and all that good stuff. Now, there is a current G.I. Joe line called G.I. Joe Classified, and they're about the size of the Mattel figures. If you're on my Instagram page called The Figure Arena, you've seen me integrate the Slaughter into matches. He fits, he's perfect. And there's one that looks sort of like this first release, and then there's a Slaughter's Marauders, which I think they now call the Mad Marauders, because I guess Slaughter's Marauders has some sort of special trademark copyright, I don't know. But there is a current line, and I've been lightly collecting it. As much as I shouldn't be buying frivolous things like that, I should keep it to wrestling because wrestling isn't frivolous. Yeah, I tell myself that. But I did jump back into this new G.I. Joe line as I'm selling off the old ones, except for these guys. And it's fun. It really is. And again, they've made 2 slaughters thus far, and the third one is in a 2-pack. And I do have it on order, and I am thinking of, we'll see how this video is received, since it's wrestling related, but it is G.I. Joe. But again, you know, I wouldn't go off the wrestling path. But I think it's actually, from the looks of it, as the hat falls, but I think it's actually a sort of a modern remake of this one. He looks a lot like that in the sort of desert colors with the ammo and all that. So we'll see about that, possibly reviewing that. Now, this last guy is one that wasn't around when I was a kid or when you were a kid. I don't think so. I mean, you'd have to be pretty young for this one to have been around when you were a kid. It was some sort of G.I. Joe convention exclusive, and it would have been around 2007 summer, I think, because sadly I remember something that I bought this on eBay just as the convention had wrapped up, and I do remember that my father was very sick at the time and passed away shortly after, so that's kind of a bad memory. But I just remember thinking, I don't really feel like buying things at this moment with everything that's going on, but I knew I'd regret it later if I didn't, via the price, and that was a good decision. And again, it's not one that a lot of people realize was in G.I. Joe, but they certainly integrated him, and it is our third and final Hall of Famer, WWE Hall of Famer to be in G.I. Joe, and he was actually part of Destro's Iron Grenadiers, which was a, not Cobra, but sort of the Destro's little subdivision of Cobra. Actually, I think he broke off from them, but it's Rowdy Roddy Piper. And he was indeed deemed to be the Iron Grenadier trainer. And I know for a fact that he did make an appearance at the convention this was at, and he signed a lot of them there. However, mine wasn't signed. But you know me, I had to get it signed. And I think it was the very first time that I met Roddy. The following year, I think the first time I met him was in 2008, outside of Philadelphia, at a great show that's missed by many. Signomania, I called it Signomania, run by George Nam of George's Cards and Collectibles out in Fairless Hill? Levittown, and then he is short in Fairless Hills, all those little suburbs out there. But great guy, great people out there. But I did indeed have this signed. I think I had the LJN and the Hasbro signed at the same time. I think I got a bunch of stuff signed because I'd never seen Piper at an appearance before. And as always, Piper was one of the nicest. And there's a few other embarrassing stories that happen here, and I'm not going to get into those. Those are great stories for another time, and some of you already know them. But the one funny thing was that Piper signed it, and he always wanted to talk. He's just such a great guy. And I remember he signed it. He turned it around, and he looked at me, and he marched it back, because it's a soldier. See, and yeah, this is just, yeah, people want this in my will. I think I promised it to like 5 people. I apologize if you're, you know, one of those 5 now that you know there's more than one. But, you know, somebody's going to get it eventually. I'm not going to sell it. There he is in his kilt with the jacket. It's such a fun figure. I've actually seen people take some of the Piper Mattels and make a custom out of it as one of these G.I. Joe classifieds that, like I said, are very similar in size to in scale to the Mattel WWE figures. So it's out there. I don't think we'll ever get an official classified release of them, but if we did, boy, would that be fun. That would be something like, I think it would actually be it would be the level of like a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive or something, which with the Joes can prove to be hard to get. Not impossible, these new Joes, but they're a little bit hard to get. But there he is, Rowdy Roddy Piper. Not a member of G.I. Joe, not really a member of Cobra, but a member of the Iron Grenadiers, and definitely a part of the G.I. Joe line, and the third and probably final member of the WWE Hall of Fame to enter the G.I. Joe world. We'll see, though. I mean, I could think of some other names. Doesn't it just seem fitting, maybe, that, like, Cody Rhodes would be a G.I. Joe? I mean, I guess he's going to be in Street Fighter. I could see a Cody G.I. Joe. I really could. Well, I hope you looked at this little different look at collectibles. I mean, certainly there are wrestling collectibles. I mean, All three of these guys performed at WrestleMania. Performed, come on, what is this, sports entertainment? They wrestled at WrestleMania. That's right. And I hope you enjoyed, if you came to Toy Palooza, the great time that it was. And I look forward to, if you didn't, I look forward to meeting you at a future event, because I had a ball and I want to keep on selling. But you're not getting my Piper.